One of the great developments, it seems to me, that must have happened at some point in our evolutionary history is that we seem to have acquired the ability, probably unique in animals, of being able to take part of the structure or the organisation of part of our cognitive apparatus, evacuate it of content, and then use it as a template for a completely different set of cognitive operations. So I've talked before about metaphor, and that's probably the most obvious, or image schemas. So we could take the cognitive structure associated with walking from one place to another, a source, path, goal schema, one which is generalised out, one which has a gist to it, one which exists as some kind of trace. We can take that structure, evacuate it of content. I don't just mean specific content in relation to specific places, but evacuate it of content completely and use it as a metaphorical structure to talk about abstract journeys, like kind of life journey or a journey through an educational process, or that kind of thing, which we can understand in terms of, again, this source, path, goal structure. So that's an example, I think, of a template of an existing cognitive structure being evacuated of content and used as a template for the organisation of completely different, in that case, for abstract cognitive operations. And I spoke recently about a lecture I heard from the University of California, in which the term used in that particular case was preadaptation, in which the cognitive structures associated with sight, the ability to see something, look away, look back, make sense out of a complex nature of a visual field, how that structure may be part of the organisation of language, so that we can use that structure, evacuate the visual content and just preserved as an organisation to keep concepts in place and to move concepts in organised ways so that they become available as language. So again, that's an example of an existing cognitive structure repurposed as a preadaptation in those terms and used for a completely different function. You may go on. Good board. I'm sure there's lots of others. Good board. So it seems to me that's one of the unique things. I think it also has a kind of relationship to synaesthesia. I think this is something Ramachandran talks about. And I don't know if other animals have got synaesthetic. It'd be really interesting to find out. But certainly with something like synaesthesia, I'm able to listen to that sound of that bird and kind of unproblematically think of that as a sweet sound. Which is, I guess, a kind of metaphor, but it's a sensory, synesthetic metaphor. And of course, some people are actively physically synesthetic. There seems to be a completely experiential relationship, not just that slightly poetic sense that I'm having of the sweet sound of a bird or the sombre nature of this forest that I'm looking at. What else? So again, I think with synaesthesia there seems to be an existing cognitive structure being used for completely different purposes. Kind of evacuated of content, but keeping some of the emotional tone perhaps, or the organisational tone, and other things dropped into place. I don't know if other animals have got the ability to do anything like that. I know they can certainly learn things, but that's more about generalising. And I know they can form associative networks. They can learn by association. But again, that's not quite the same thing as being evacuated of content and learning a structure that one can proactively apply in other contexts.